Well, folks, we're here. Has World War III began? It sure does look like it. Israel now striking Iran, Tehran. It's we talked about this the other night. I wanted to do a recap, Bo. I called you right afterwards and said, man, things are happening. I've been talking to Juanito behind the scenes. I've never heard that guy, and I'm not gonna say distressed, but pins and needles. Like it's almost like when I was getting ready to fight and I was in the dressing room and I wouldn't be one to really want to conversate with anybody. You're just focused on what's happening. And that's what I kind of feel what's happening with Juan. So for my audience out there, if you haven't seen the video yet, go watch a video that Bo and I did. I just premiered it yesterday. And we're talking about these next stretch of 10 days, 11 days, Bo, going into the next 3 months.
Well, yes, but actually, even more so, even into the 31st, into Halloween. Like
Okay, so the
that's
next,
how,
yeah, right. Which
yeah.
I gotta say, hold on. That's what Juan has been saying. He says the
Mhm.
real important dates are the 28th and 29th to the 31st, I guess. So those, it's actually occultist dates and times, right? Like for their
Yeah.
calendar,
I don't
right?
know that. Yeah, I
Okay,
don't
so
know that,
that's
but I'll
why.
just, yeah, it's just like when we look at the cycles, see, as long as much as noise as there is in the world, because all these events, basically it's noise. Because again, we don't live in political times, even though, whoa, everything you turn on the TV, it's all political, geopolitical, right? It's all that, but yet superseding all of that is biblical. And so that's why, when you understand, like fear not God, John 10:10, the devil comes to kill, steal, and destroy. Period. Right? Whereas Christ, I'm come that you might have life more abundantly. So all the fear that people are experiencing, everything we're seeing right now, that's what the devil does, because all he's got is to scare you. That's all he's got. That's all he's
Everyone
got.
talks about the culture war. It's not a culture war. I mean, that's a byproduct of this, but it's a spiritual war. It's
It's
a
an
spiritual
ism.
war at its very core, and that's what my audience understands. And that's when you're truly awakened to what's happening. That's what this is. It's not about red or white or the left or the right. It's about right and wrong, and it's not about cultural war. It's about the spiritual war. That's what this is at. That's where we're at our core. Correct.
Right. And actually, the best analogy I can give you is simply this: divide and conquer. Divide, 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 and then you conquer. And so all because think about the globalist people that run the world, all this, all these people with all the money. Okay. There's not a lot of them. There's not a lot of them. They just have all the money and they control all the media. And they also control all the tops of all the three-letter alphabet agencies. So they're just the top of the food chain because they've all have secret handshakes, but there's not a lot of them. And then us as humanity, that's the masses, right? And so what is the only strategy that Satan's got? Divide and conquer.
Divide and conquer. Right.
Whites, blacks, Democrats, Republicans, the churches. The more segregations of churches that people create, the better and the happier Satan is. It's just the more people can hate one another, because that's what he wants. He wants people to hate one another and cause infighting, and that infighting causes their lack of unity, and then that gives the evil one strength. Versus on the flip side, right? When God intervenes, and what is their agenda on top of that, right? Creating a one world system. And how? Because basically, if they are all together as one, just a few of them, but they can control everybody, and that's what's going on. And so the flip side of that is the humanity wakes up and realizes, hey, holy mackerel, we've been lied to about everything. And
And
this is what
we need to
well,
wake
you
up
call the
fast.
matrix.
We
You
need to
call it
wake
the
up fast
matrix, right?
because yeah, because this is the go time. This is when it makes me wonder, like, I guess it had to happen this way. I guess it really did because we couldn't have done anything too premature. It would not have had the same effect on humanity. Humanity needed to learn and wake up on its own, right? I mean, it's almost like this whole surgical procedure of dismantling the deep state had to be done this way because you had to have a fine balance. It had to be done delicately. Let's say, we could say the white hats, black hats, whatever, but it had to be done delicately, this operation, in order to wake up the people with while exposing the dark side for who they are. And this is what war looks like in 2024. This is it. This is the end times war, right, Bo? Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, it's pretty close. Like, we're not the end times war. We're working our way into that. But specifically, remember all the podcasts we've done? What do we always say? Fear not, for the end is not yet. These are the beginnings of, and you've said it before, right? We've said it over and over. These are the beginnings of birth
Birth
pains.
pains, right. I'm going to go ahead and
Right.
share the screen for a second just to show my audience here. And since our last broadcast, this has happened. And we knew this was
Okay,
going to.
and before you speak, what do we say? Okay, what do we say? And then you can expand. What do we say? Like this was on Thursday. We said the equivalent time point for the when Israel was attacked, the last day of Tabernacles last year. Israel was attacked by Hamas the last day of Tabernacles into the weekend, Friday into Saturday. And that marked a 50-day cycle relative to the Yom Kippur War 50 years earlier. And I said, don't be surprised again if something goes down this Friday night into Saturday, and then Nino, go for it.
Boom, here we are. Here we are. Israel says it has completed strikes on Iran. Tehran says damage is limited. But here we go. It's this reminds me of the 90s when we went into Iraq, I mean, this is just like, here we go again. And this is going to lead to bigger things, obviously. I mean, this really is the beginning, and you could have said the beginning of World War III was just, the Ukraine, the Eastern Europe front, the whole thing. But this really, to me, is the kickoff, because now this seems to me like there's no stopping it now, Bo. I mean, and they're making such a mess, in which you predicted and Juan has predicted, so many people on my shows have predicted that this was going to kick off right before November 5th.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can go back to our podcast again. It's not that being right or wrong. What I want people to understand, that it's actually all in divine perfection, meaning God's aligned all this, and it's actually occurring in precise timing. That's the important thing to understand. And what do we say? When you go back to our podcast, I said, don't be surprised based on the calculations that we could and should see something happen on or about September 16th, right? And so what happens September 16th into the next morning? The P. Diddy arrest. Okay, go back and listen to our September podcast. And then what did I say? The reason I'm saying that is because it's not a being right or wrong. I want to show people how everything is happening by divine perfection, meaning by it's ordained, and it's a plan of God. So this is the calculation, literally. So we've got the Revelation 12 sign. Okay, so this is how the calculations, how you do it. You go from Revelation 12, which is written in the Bible, in Revelation, verse 12, and it says on September, and it describes the starry alignments that will occur in the future, 2,000 years in the future, 2,000 years in the future. Well, again, they didn't have telescopes then, but they wrote this, the precision. And then what happened on September 23rd, 2017, Revelation 12 sign. Okay, so it's called the woman and the dragon in the Bible. Okay, and so when you read scriptures, the woman and the dragon, so we're going to use that as a starting point. So this is important for the listeners to understand. When you see a heavenly formation like this, don't expect something to go down on that day. Why do I say that? Well, because the perfect example, remember this one, Nino? Everyone was freaked about the eclipse. Remember April?
Oh yeah, people are freaking out.
Everyone and their grandma's talking about April 8th. And what did we say on our show? Yeah, it's an important event, but it's actually a starting point to start counting. And so what's God revealed to me when you see these important signs in the heavens? Because it says in Matthew, there should be sign of the sun and the moon. Actually, in Luke 21, it says there should be sign of the sun and the moon and the stars. And so, be not deceived, because the redemption draws nigh. So it means we're closing in on the return of Christ. So what I said was, it's not the event here in April, it's 7 months forward. Okay, so let's go from, and on a biblical clock, okay, so this is God's clock, in a month, it's called a month. That's why, last year, Tabernacles ended in the first week of October, right? But this time, Tabernacles ended on the 23rd or 24th of October. You see that there's like a 2.5 week discrepancy. Why? Because in the Hebrew calendar, God uses 30 days in a month, period. So that's why in a year you'll have 12 months times 30, so you have 360 days in a Hebrew, in a God's year, which is coincidentally a circle, 360 degrees. You see how that works?
Yep.
That's called, creates a cycle, versus on the Roman calendar, the Julian calendar, so some days have 28 days, some have 31 days. So all of this creates this they change the clocks. But what I'm saying is 7 months, this is the math, 7 months times 30 days is 210 days. 210 days from this event is the election day to the exact day.
Jeez. Wow.
Okay.
I mean,
So
there's a lot to this, man. That's why I keep having you on, Bo, because I know that, yeah, I got skeptics on here. I don't know about that, this and that. But I think if we try to read this correctly, I think that there's a lot to it. There's a lot of substance here, man. And I think you've been over the target a few times. Yeah, we all miss here and there, but I think for the most part, you got this down pretty damn to a point, to precision in my mind. I think there's a lot of truth to this, and I just can't deny all the alignments and solar eclipses, lunar eclipses. I mean, everything that's been happening. This is the most it's ever happened in my lifetime that I've ever noticed it. I mean, I don't remember this many celestial events ever in my life.
Well, I know that's why this was a pretty spectacular event, because basically 7 years before that. So what I'm showing you is about end times, right? As we head into the tribulation, when Christ returns in the future. Okay, as we head into that time point in the future, we're seeing these 7-year windows. So we're seeing these 7-year windows, and the first window we had, what was it, in 2017? We had the first eclipse. Then 7 years later, the next eclipse, which actually then traverses and a cross forms an X formation. And that exact point, I think there was actually a cross or something that's 111 feet tall. And then at this time, and then on this date, April 8th, when the cross was formed, you actually count 7 months. Okay, so in other words, 2017, it enters the United States. 7 years later, it makes an X. 7 months from when it made the X is the exact day of the election, November 5, to the exact day. And then 7 years is 1,260 days. Well, if you go 7 years, 1,260 days, based on specifically godly calculations, Trump walks into office 1,260 days to the exact day, oil goes to negative $38 a barrel, which doesn't make sense. And then you count 40 days. Next thing you know, the George Floyd riots, 150 days, the Noah's Ark cycle, Noah cycle, and then Ruth Bader Ginsburg dies. What I'm trying to show people is all of this is divine perfection. So for this calculation, what specifically God revealed to me, the number is 7 months. For this calculation right here, Revelation 12 sign, the calculation is 7 years. So this calculation says in the month of November 2024. This calculation says the year is 2024.
So let me ask you this, Bo. I know I just talked to Juanito, and he said that he was, if anyone knows anything about Juanito, he did a lot of big things during the Cold War with Russia. I won't get into that, but it had to do with financial stuff, taking down Russia. I think I could say that. I could just skate along right there and just, reveal that much or disclose that much. But what kind of seemed to be bothering him, Bo, and I want to get your opinion on this, was that silver closed twice now, one right after in a row at 33.67, which to him, for some reason, it bothered him. He said, no, these numbers mean something. And I was talking to him on the phone, and he was trying to get me to figure it out on my own. But the 33.67 will take away 67 from 100 at 100%. That's 33. It's 33. It's reversed. And he started going into this and explaining this to me on how this really means something. These numbers reversed mean a lot. And for it to close twice in a week, and that number means something's coming. And they're signaling to everybody. They're signaling to all their friends that are involved in this whatever, a cult, whatever, elites, whatever, that now it's go time. Do you agree with that?
Yes, absolutely. Because what was our podcast the other day? We're hours away from what's about to go down. And why I say hours away, and the next thing we'll touch on silver in just a minute. So basically going back to the calculation. So we've shown you the 7 months from the eclipse, 7 years from the Revelation 12 sign. And then so both signs in the heavens are indicating it's 2024, and the eclipse is telling us it's in November where everything changes, where we see the birth. Okay. So then, interestingly enough, when you run the Daniel cycle of time, 1260 days, there's a 30-day window, another 1260. This is the P. Diddy arrest, September 17th, within 24 hours of that. And then what do we say? In September, I said the 45 windows begins, and the 45-day window clock ends on Halloween.
Jeez.
Which is this coming Thursday. Okay. And so then we're going to layer in some prophecies, and then we'll tie in silver with that. But this is the clock right here. Okay. So basically, yesterday started the year 5785 on the Hebrew clock, which would be 2025. But again, we're still in 2024, but the next year technically started because the next year of Torah readings began yesterday. And look what happened yesterday. Israel attacked Iran. Okay, so now we're in this clock, which is heading into this time clock calculation of the 31st. I don't know what's going to go down, but the math is indicating that this is a very important window of time as this cycle completes, because basically this cycle completes what Clement prophesied about 7 years. And so actually that would be a great prophecy to play. It's like a 1-minute clip, but it's a great prophecy to
Be
play.
careful.
Like,
I don't want to get a copyright anything on here.
I don't think, no, this is like a 1-minute clip I've got. It should be totally fine on it. Let me just.
It's not from. It's not. You're not playing it from FluffTube.
No, they're just. I'll just play a little because I added a whole bunch of stuff into it, so it's not.
Well, before you get to that, let me knock out this real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Get your 𝗀𝗃𝗃, folks. If you suffer from any type of daily pain, I need you to listen to this message very carefully. What we know about the root cause of pain is changing forever. As we age, aches and pains are natural, and we're all searching for effective ways to relieve the pain without the side effects or addiction. Let's be frank, we have all seen the horrors of the opiate crisis. You may have been affected personally, folks. I have. And that's where a pioneering medical scientist comes in. Clint Winters, you may have seen this world-renowned health expert featured in the national media as he's unveiled a natural pain reliever that has taken the world by storm. Yes, I'm talking about Canoladine, the 100% drug-free way to get full-body pain relief without the dangerous pills. As you listen to this, Canoladine has become the go-to pain reliever, folks, for over 1 million Americans and hundreds of professional athletes. It is so powerful, it was even used extensively by UFC fighters, and those guys know a thing or two about pain. Now get this. Clint explains how Canoladine is the only compound on earth that optimizes your body's natural painkillers called endorphins at any age. When taken daily, your body will fire back to relieving pain like you were in your prime in just days. And let me tell you, I was skeptical, but it works. I've tried virtually everything, and I've tried that, and I've not felt this great in years. It's like all my daily aches and pains just faded away. My neck, my back, my neck, and my crack all feel great and renewed. Best of all, Canoladine does not make me feel the least bit groggy or drugged up. I feel great, alert, and focused to take on the day. That's true. And the best news is Canoladine has no documented side effects after 14 years of extensive testing. Hear me when I say this. Canoladine is absolutely the future of pain relief. So if you're dealing with pain, make sure to click on the link below and check out Clint's amazingly informative report on 100% made, American-made Canoladine. The innovation is changing lives by providing safe and powerful relief at 1/10 the cost of pain pills. Here's the best part. If you click on the link today, you get this product for less than $1 a day. Hit the link below, folks. Trycono.com/Nino. Trycono.com/Nino. Get started on it. All right, Bo, go ahead. Play the clip. I love this guy, Clement.
And what I want to, and within the clip, with this clip, we also, I've layered in the Torah codes that you and I discussed in a couple of videos ago as well, too. So this is not just a Clement clip. I'm trying to get to the understanding of how the time works. So Clement speaks about a 7-year window of besiegement. And then the Torah codes state that during this time frame of 7 years, it becomes the troubled time. And that's when 44 comes into play, President 44. He rises during what's called the time of troubles. So have a listen to this, and you'll see how all of this is coming together, because all of this transition, and then when the 7 years ends, there'll be wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you're not deceived, because the end is not yet. These are the beginning of birth pains. So as the 7 years completes, you go into a war season. which is like Nino's corner, right? Because the beast gets pinned against the corner, and they come with everything they got, kind of like like what happened at the Red Sea. They're going to come in with everything they got. So that's why Juan is so freaked right now, because he's hearing all the news of what they're about to do, right? So it sounds scary. And then God shows up and flips the scales, flips the tables on them, and their plans come to nothing. Again, this is cool, in a single day. So we're going to wake up one morning here very soon, and we're like, what the heck just happened? That's what's about to happen. But before that moment in time, look all the news you're
It's
in.
going to be scary. It's scary. Would you say that would you say in your mind that World War III really has started now?
Absolutely not. Because World War III, in other words, what I would say is World War III would, hopefully we're on the same page as this, but this would be literally what's described as the Great War, where they're going to attack Israel, destroy Israel, and then Christ. Because if this was World War III,
well, this is obviously going in that direction. I mean,
yes,
Israel is at war with Iran. Iran is backed by Russia. Ukraine and Russia are going. The United States is involved. I mean, this is a world war where we're at right now. More than one country's involved, and it's all leading to the same thing. I mean, America is, okay.
So I would say this. I can't disagree with you, because it looks like that. It looks like we're heading into World War III, because evil, that's what their plan is. They want to usher in World War III, because then they can bring in specifically, they can do all of their plans with the aliens, and they can do everything they want to do with removal of the church and the government. And basically they bring on, because if this is World War III, we would therefore be stepping in plan that they have is written in Revelation, and this involves the mark on the right hand or forehead. That will be the exact next step. So in other words, if you're right, and this is the precursor, and we're literally stepping into World War III, then as a humanity, we're finished, because evil will have brought on their plans way early. Okay. And that's why but on the other side of it, when you read scriptures, there's a thing called 7 seals of Revelation. In order for there to be even a World War III, guess what's missing? The temple. There's no temple.
Right.
Okay, so there's a lot of pieces that are missing for us to be in World War III. The Antichrist would have to come and desecrate the temple at the middle of the 7 years. Well, that hasn't happened yet. Okay, so there's so many things that are missing for us to be stepping into World War III right here, scripturally. So
but we're on our way.
But then God's going to make a way for us, and this will happen in the future. So in other words, we're still years off from World War III.
Okay.
But right now, all that it looks like we're stepping into World War III, because we're stepping into their evil's getting pinned, and all they can do is bring World War III. And then Listen's prophecy starts off, you will be very afraid. So have a listen here.
And people will become very afraid. I have said I will bring this nation to its knees. And God said, you have been humbled, and then you shall hear the sounds of great victory. For many that have cried out and said, God will destroy this nation, the Spirit says, may I remind you, the covenant that I made with this nation is immutable, is unchangeable, that I created and spoke over this nation to feed the world, to heal the earth. God says, yes, judgment will come, but it shall not come at this time in the fashion that they have spoken. They have said, there shall be a crash and America shall be crippled. God said, not at this time, not at this time, for I have raised you up for a season.
So the number 777 represents this completion. So the number 777 represents this completion.
And there shall be 7 years where I will take you out of your besiegement. You have been besieged for 7 years, America. You have been surrounded by your internal enemies. Haters of America have stood up, and I will take the wealth of the wicked and for a season transfer it into the hands of the righteous.
This is where you read Matthew 24, and let's read it. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars. But see to it that you're not what? These are the beginnings of birth pains.
pains. Yeah.
So when Babylon falls, what's birth? God's kingdom. Babylon falls, God's kingdom is birth. I'm going to repeat that. Babylon falls, Matthew 24, birth pains is right now, new kingdom is birth. God's not reacting. They're walking into the greatest trap in history like Pharaoh did.
I will bring an amount of restoration to this nation, and they shall be taken out of their siege that you've been in for 7 years. And then the songs will come from all over this nation, from young people who deserve to sing my song.
Yeah. I love it.
So I hope that gives, again, it answered your question, right? So you have been besieged, America, besieged by haters of America for 7 years, okay? In addition to that, there was a sign in the sun and the moon and the stars. We had Revelation 12 sign formed in 2017. If you count 7 years forward, guess what you get? 2024. There's a Torah codes that we reviewed earlier as well, too, and it said that during the times of trouble, it's called a time of trouble, the kingdom of David steps in. Well, that's exactly what happened in the time of trouble in okay, and then David, and that was the election of 2016. Trump won the election in 2016 November, and then what happened in January, inauguration day 2017. Trump steps into office, the bloodline of David steps into office. Wow. The bloodline of David brings in the kingdom of David. What's the kingdom of David? Very simple, Jesus Christ. But before Christ returns in the future, the kingdom of David is on the earth. Why? Because no different than when Christ was born. Before Christ was born, it was, forget, I'm drawing a blank here, John the Baptist. John the Baptist, so we're like the John the Baptist. Okay, so this is like a type and shadow. So before Christ returns, in the future, we're the John the Baptist, that basically bringing everybody into the church, getting everybody ready. But then the timelines that I'm laying out to have you understand so you don't miss it. You see, because when Christ was on the earth, people didn't know the time and the season. God and Satan deceived everybody with times and seasons. So guess what happened? Nino, everybody missed Jesus being on the earth. Like the disciples knew, and a few other people knew, and then eventually with the signs and miracles, more people, maybe I think it's thousands of people, but still.
Back then, it's not like they had internet. It was just word of mouth. I mean, everything was like
word of mouth. So
however fast word of mouth traveled, that was it. I mean,
that was it. And most people still missed it. You see what I'm saying? So that's why we don't want to miss the appointments. So these are appointments, just like what happened was this tabernacles, and then the tabernacles ended, the war began. Israel attacked Iran just now, right at the end of tabernacles, exactly Friday to Saturday night, mirroring exactly what
can we
happened a year
expect
ago.
in these next few days, just for this to escalate?
So let's a couple of so again, Kim Clement said, not at this time. He says 2017, I will take you out of your besiegement, and then he's going to bring us the wealth transfer. So God's going to bring us the wealth transfer. So why is Juan freaking about silver and precious metals? Well, because the bottom line is the global elite. This is important. What money did they use? What's the global elite's money? The federal, not federal, reserve. There are no reserves. Note. Who is the Federal Reserve? Okay, these are the ones these are the Pharisees that go back to the time of Jesus, and it's written in Revelation 2, verse 9. They call themselves, but they're not. They're from the synagogue of. It starts with an S, okay? Right. And so these are the evil ones, and they founded the Federal Reserve in 1913. Okay, so they found the Federal Reserve to what? Enslave humanity. Then who's in the Federal Reserve? The top of the food chain over there is a bunch of people we don't even know, but the Rockefellers, right, the Rothschilds, they're all in there. Allow me to control the money supply. I care not who writes its laws.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so all of this is basically, and then in 2020 hit, Nixon took us off the gold standard 50 years to the exact day Kabul fell. How does that happen? To the exact day Kabul fell when Nixon took us off the gold standard. And then very interestingly enough, 3 years later, the petrodollar contract with Kissinger in Saudi Arabia, okay? Well, that was in June 6th or June 9th, 74. Well, you go 50 years forward, June 9th, 2024. So that tells you, thou shalt consecrate the 50th year and proclaim liberty throughout the land to all of its inhabitants. So Leviticus is telling us that 50 years is critical important in all of this. Okay, was Roe v. Wade was 73, petrodollar 74, all of these events. Economic Forum was in 73. See, so the early 70s brought all of this upon humanity. That's the crazy part. All of this started in early 70s. There is actually one event that was wild. People can go, it's on my YouTube channel. I think I've got it there. But basically what it's called, and this is crazy, Nino. I didn't realize this until 𝗀𝗃𝗏 did this podcast with a guy from the CIA who's been there for 34 years. So this guy's this guy is a top guy in the CIA. He actually did a podcast on it. And what they did is it's called remote viewing, astral projection.
What was the guy's name?
I will send you the link and you can watch it.
Okay.
You know, actually, if you want, I can play it here. But and if you want,
I've had a few remote viewers on my program.
Do you want to watch this? You want to watch it? It's like 3 minutes if you want to.
Not if it's going to get me in trouble on FluffTube.
No, it won't. No, because it should be no issue there. But let me play this, and you can decide if you want to play it. But
okay.
What I want to show you is basically what it is they let they made a deal with the devil.
Allegedly. I know,
and then
but
a month
for
later,
purposes,
allegedly they had a deal with the devil.
Allegedly.
I get where you're going with this. Allegedly. So let me show you this.
Can't state it as fact on FluffTube, otherwise they give you a.
But this is the guy that basically, this was the guy that was there when all of this went down. So you can make your own. People can make their own decisions about what really happened. But let me see if I can find here. Project Looking Glasses. Let me put this up here. Okay, here we go.
Very interesting. So you're saying that Project Looking Glass was remote viewed?
Yeah. No, actually, it was they let a demon onto they made a contract with a principality, a massive demon.
I see. I believe in that stuff, and I think all these temples that are being built in CERN and the whole thing is to let more in.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think that's what's happening right now.
So here you go. You can make your own decisions about this. Here you go.
DIA, which is the Defense Intelligence Agency, was the lead agency on the program in the beginning. And what they would do is they would bring these people who were psychics, occultists, into this room, swore them under oath of secrecy, and they would conjure up demonic powers, which was necessary in order to operate in these remote view astral projection techniques. What these guys would do, they were given some hard intelligence, they would be given certain information, and then they would be commissioned to go in the spirit world to fill in the blanks and to get all the information they could supernaturally. They put them in seats or chairs that looked like dental chairs with straps, and they strapped them in. The reason they did that is because when these operators would go into the spirit world, they would literally come into face-to-face contact with demon power that were horrific and terrifying. Our government paid occultists to go into the spirit world to come in contact with demons. I said that opened a massive gate over America. One day I'm being escorted by the guy now in the suit and tie, and on the way we have a lot of time to talk. And so I'm asking a guy who's part of one of the two agencies that hosted and operated Project Stargate. I said, do you know about it? He said, do I know about it? I was the official that operated it. He was the lead manager for the lead agency that operated Project Stargate. Now here's what he said. He said all the operators were seeing these entities in the spirit world, but none of us in the room could see them but the operators that were strapped in the chairs. But something changed in December of 1972. One of those demonic powers, principalities, physically manifested in the room. And not some apparition of some misty kind of, am I seeing this or not? No, as real as you and I are, this demonic entity, a principality, a ruling principality in the earth, manifest in front of everybody and scared the pants off of everybody in the room. And this thing is, he said, was 8 to 9 feet tall. Years later, he's still trembling over the experience. Here's what he said. He said, we did a deal with that principality. He said, we made a covenant with that principality that if it would give us an advantage over the Russians and give us more power for remote viewing, astral projection techniques for intelligence gathering purposes, we would give that principality rights over America. Things began to get dark in America at that point. You know what the next thing that happened in America was? Just 1 month later, January the 22nd, 1973 was legalized in America through the decision of Roe versus Wade. 1 month after the covenant was made with this principality of darkness. You see, because all covenants have to be activated by, that's why Jesus had to go to the cross. He had to shed that blood because that blood became the most powerful covenant. So all this is to say we're dealing with a covenant that darkness made.
Wow, man. Wow, that makes a lot of sense to me. That's kind of like rings very close to what I've heard through certain communities. I've heard the same thing.
Through all the channels, what has it always been about, Nino?
Spiritual.
It's been about why do they want the children? Because they want their
Right.
That's all I'm saying. I'm gonna say more than that. It's about covenant, right? And so what happened is, but there's a bigger covenant that supersedes everything. When the United States was founded, like Clement, go back, listen to the video. What he says, the covenant that the founding fathers made with God, the creator, is immutable. Immutable means even the founding fathers are dead. It stands forever. So the covenant that God made with the founding fathers stands forever. And that takes us back to why these people are trying to grab the United States.
Right.
But yet the covenant stands forever. We're the prize. And that's why it's so like, why are you so arrogant? Why is it all about the United States? Because wherever the United States is going, so goes the world. Okay. So if the United States is going to hell, so goes the world. Okay. So the point is the United States, God has to come back and restore that covenant. When he comes back and restores the covenant, then that's that 7-year window that I was describing. What ends up happening is that God restores the covenant, and then we go the 7 years of evil that's literally we've been experiencing. And then, you're talking to Juan and he's hearing that all hell's about to break loose. Well, exactly, because the 7 years is coming to an end, and an evil specifically is pinned into that corner. And the corner is right into the time point of what we referenced earlier, and that's the 31st of October. So the time window ends here on the 31st, and then we step into November. And it's interesting because right now there's meteors going off above us, and it's called Orion ID meteor shower, which doesn't end until November 22nd. It started September 26th. So we're
wow.
we're right now.
I heard about this. So it's happening right now, these meteor showers?
Yes, and the apex of it is right around the 21st. So like just a few days ago was the apex, the peak. And so now we have all these meteors. And basically, what is Orion? Orion's the hunter. Well, what does the hunter hunt? He's hunting Taurus, the bull. Okay. Well, so in other words, Orion hunts the bull. So this is the hunters become the hunted. So this is what's about to manifest, is the flipping of the scales. Because
can I share the screen for a sec?
Yeah, let me shut this down here. Go ahead.
I want to share something real quick with the audience, because when you said the hunters become the hunted, I've just seen here, and I'm not going to read all of it, but I want people to see this. But RFK said this, and Bill Gates has just been indicted. He's indicted in the Netherlands for lying to the public about the what, and he's going to have to go to trial. Now, this is big to me. I mean, this shows me that the hunters are becoming the hunted, just to validate your point. I mean, I never would have thought we'd witness seeing this, or we'd ever see this until, Mr. T gets in or whatever. And in a few years down the line, but he's here to stand trial in the Netherlands, and people can read this on their own, but just to validate your point.
Do you want the prophecy on Bill Gates? The prophecy on Bill Gates is he will lose everything in regard to his wealth.
Okay. All right.
And then he will. That's all.
Right. All right, Bo, I got to jump to another podcast. Are we good here?
Yeah, we're good. Pretty much. I just want to finish with one thing. So I gave everybody the time window of why we're heading to the 31st is so important. Again, how this plays out. But silver is the bank killer. So back to what we referenced about the finances, right? Silver is the bank killer. So when you see silver blow vertical, and it could blow as early as next week. Okay, remember, we had 3 roofs. Actually, I had several roofs I had for silver. I want to show you this right here. If I can pop this one screen up. But the silver itself has got some very critical numbers. And you're referencing like 33. This is the number on silver itself, okay? For when it broke down through 27, It broke through 27 years ago, and it was under 27 for like 8 to 10 years. It broke through 27 vertically in May of this year. And I said the next number, it's not being right, but people understand how charting works. So 27 became the floor, and the next roof became 32.
Mm-hmm.
So now when it hit 32 and it would touch 33, but it was bouncing around at 32, and it would come down to 30, but it wouldn't touch 27, but that was a floor. Now that it's broken through 32, which just happened in Tabernacles on October 18th, last Friday, it broke through 32. 32 now becomes support, the floor. And the next immediate target is $68.
And when do you think we'll hit 68?
Probably this month yet, if not November for sure.
Wow.
And then it's going to pull back, and then it's going to go to 140.
Wow, it's just, dang.
Then it's going to pull back, and then it's going to go to 600.
And that's
then
when
it's going to
all
pull
hell
back and
would
go
break
to
loose. I mean, I would imagine this is going to really hit the banks hard once it hits 68.
At $68, it's a bank killer. Okay, so because each contract they have holds 5,000 ounces. And so they're short hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of ounces. And so what they've got in their contract, they've got this written, the CBA, they wrote this in 2011, Nino. And what they wrote was they're called breakers. So the moment silver goes $3, the breakers shut off. All global trading shuts down on silver for 5 minutes. That gives the banks opportunity to exit their short positions as fast as they can. They would turn back on it for 5 minutes. It goes another $3, 5 more minutes. And then another $3, 5-minute breaker. So there's four breakers. So 4 breakers times $3 is $12. So in a matter of 20 minutes, silver will move $12 with the breakers. And then no more breakers. And then it's going to go $20 to $25. It's going to hit that $68. And that should happen in a single day. And that starts that only starts the bull market. And then this is the bank. So the banks liquidate and flee the silver position like they've never done before, because if they don't, they will obliterate all the banks, but they're just going to probably sacrifice 1 or 2 banks on this event. Okay. And this is the bank runs that are going to start to happen, because all of this is about flipping the financial skills. And again, they built Babylon, this entire thing, the wars and rumors of wars and all this stuff. They're going to end in a single day. Because the financial system, they use the money, the Federal Reserve, to fund the wars. So unless gold and silver explode, and I mean explode, unless silver explodes, you're never going to see the wars come to an end. But the moment you see silver explodes, the wars come to a sudden end, because they're all funded with it. No one's going to want the US dollar. So all the nations out there, no one's going to want the US dollar for payment. They're going to say, hey, we'll continue with all our secrets, the secrets we have, but we want gold, we want Bitcoin, we want silver, but we don't want your dollar. So why does the truth set us free? Because when the financial scales flip, they're not going to want the US dollar for payment as hush money. They're not going to want the US dollar for payment for all the military con. So that's how this all ties in with
I'm late for the next podcast. I love
God
you,
bless
man.
you, Nino. Thank you.
You got it. All right, folks. Bo, where do they find you?
Gold2020forecast.com. God bless everybody.
Thank you both. Thank you for another great one. You hit it out of the park.